Does anyone remember the 50s? You know, the Cold War, Elvis Presley, and Little Green Men? Well, given that I'm not currently receiving a social security check and likely never will, I do not remember the 50s. I do, however, know a lot about Little Green Men.
I am not green.
Enter Destroy All Humans, released in 2005 in something I probably should not have been allowed to play at the crisp age of 8. Destroy All Humans is a game that aims to do exactly what it says on the tin. It's a stupid, ridiculous, violent classic held together by silly putty and explosions, a game that never even once takes itself even kind of seriously from character design to themes to bosses. Do you want a gripping story to make you question the morality of man, our place in the universe, and the deep terror of the infinite cosmos? Well, go somewhere else then, because I'm here to make people's heads explode by shooting things up their butts. Oh, this is gonna get demonetized, isn't it? We enter our tale with some faux existential questions, followed by a military test that gets interrupted by a flying saucer getting blasted by a missile because it chose the worst possible place to idle. A decidedly not green man pops out, eats the dirt, and his boss isn't happy about the impact to his bottom line. Hey, didn't you just die? Meet Cryptosporidium 137, Crypto for short and because it's easier to say. He's a Furon along with Pox here, and they survive by indefinite cloning after war relieved them of their genitals. Unfortunately, the gene pool is suffering, so we need some pure farm-fresh Furon DNA, which just so happens to be on our own big blue marble. That guy we saw die was Crypto136, and things didn't go so well for him on his own, so it's time to bring the whole mothership.
There's a time for thought, and there's a time for action, and this is one of those times.
Which?
The second one.
Alright, so we've made it to Earth. Hopefully the commute wasn't too bad. I mess around in the menus for a bit, but eventually embark on our first mission, presented in the style of a 50s movie. We land discreetly in a field of cows, immediately assuming they rule the planet. So it's time for some bovine questioning.
Attention, Earth creature. This planet is now part of the Furon Empire. Your benevolent masters welcome you.
Controlling Crypto is easy enough. Left stick moves, pressing A jumps, and pressing it again activates a jetpack for a little boost. Beyond that, we've got two ways to interact with the world. Holding down the left trigger prepares some psychokinetic powers which we use to read minds, throw cows, and do other things. Right trigger is for guns, which do gun things for the most part. Aside from one other ability we get in like 10 minutes, that is pretty much the extent of how this little man controls. It's simple, easy to understand, and does everything I need it to. Every now and then I long for the ability to sprint, but what can you do? I guess with a head that heavy, you can only move so fast. The cows, unfortunately, do not cede the planet to us, so we throw them from the pen, catching the attention of our first human. Is that what we looked like in the 50s? No wonder we all hated each other. Anyway, given that this is a rural American farmer in 1959, his first response is to pull out a shotgun the moment he sees something new, but it's nothing a bit of nice, gentle electroshock therapy can't fix. This doesn't do us any favors with the wife, and, well, to make a long story short, we've now destroyed the entire town and everyone in it. These guys, who legally I can't refer to as the Men in Black, but you know, make some cryptic statements, and that's mission 1. So far, our invasion of Earth is going about how I expected it to. I think the humans will really grow to love us. Before we can proceed to the next mission, we need to collect some Furon DNA. This is done in a number of ways, but the easiest is finding these glowing yellow pillars for a quick, mindless mission. These are infinitely repeatable, but do get slightly more difficult each time with no change in reward, so keep that in mind if you just want to repeat one. These missions usually just amount to things like running around different waypoints, decimating a specific number of people, harvesting some brain stems, and so on. Nothing groundbreaking, and it usually only takes a couple of minutes at the most to get the DNA you need, even at the later stages of the game. We could also just do this a bunch.
Sure, you can try running, then hiding, but
it really is up to you which route you take. Those guys in the dark suits who work for a clandestine organization called Majestic mentioned Roswell, New Mexico, where the UFO was shot down. Unfortunately, Crypto was only half listening, so we end up in Rockwell instead to kidnap a local debutante with our freaky mind powers. Here we learn our next and really final ability. By pointing the camera at someone and pressing B, we take on a holographic image of the person and sneak around. We can only maintain this as long as our mana bar isn't empty, but we can refill it on the go by reading the minds of anyone we happen upon. We will use this ability in pretty much every mission moving forward, so get used to scanning every 15 seconds or so. Because the script dictates we can't leave a place as nice as we found it, we also take a moment to blow up the fare, costing the taxpayers tens of dollars. Back in Rockwell, some radioactive zombie cows have appeared either through our actions or that of the local government. Either way, it gives us an excuse to mimic the local mayor and blame everything that's happened so far on communism. America never really really changes, does it? We overhear some majestic guys talking about a city in California, and I've grown tired of this dreary small town life, so we head off that way after slurping up a few more precious brain stems. In Santo Modesto, we crash a pool party, get a disintegration gun, and hijack the local TV stations. The general public of the 1950s wasn't ready for our shows, and their heads explode about it, which seems a little dramatic, but overall, I think things are going pretty well. Let's see, what's next on the docket? Ah, I see, fast food is making everyone vote red. Well, I'll just let Crypto handle that on his own for a bit. Now, are you following the story so far? Keep in mind, our eventual goal here is to I'm not sure what we've done to really achieve this goal up to now, other than the obvious wanton destruction. It really feels like we're just popping from place to place with no real goal in mind other than blowing things up, which I guess is kind of the point maybe? At least that feels like what Crypto is here for. Now normally, in most games I would care about this and probably mark it as a negative, but here I just really didn't seem to. At no point was I ever really concerned with what we were doing or why, I was just here for the ride, and every now and again something good would happen that worked out in our favor. I guess at the end of the day, maybe the story just really isn't all that important, and sometimes it really is just a method of transportation to get you from point A to B to do some destruction. I don't know, maybe the real genocide is the friends we made along the way. Anyway, we cause some mass mayhem and kidnap a majestic agent. Our compassionate questioning methods.
I think this calls for the Jumbo probe.
Convince him to let slip about a military base called Area 42, so we'll probably head there next. Oh, no? We're heading back to Rockwell again first? Alright, well that Area 42 thing seemed more important, but yeah, sure, I guess we can hit up the local drive-in theater first. Maybe stop the subliminal messages of Majestic and inject a few of our own. At least that feels like a step in the right direction of the whole world domination thing. Now it's time for Area 42, right? Nope, we're going to commit more wanton destruction in a suburban Californian town? Alright, sure, whatever. In the meantime, there are two gameplay aspects I haven't really touched on yet. The first is the UFO. There's nothing really too crazy to say about the UFO. It's a big ship with a big laser. Later on, we also get some big bombs. It feels a little flimsy sometimes, but I've found not running into the line of fire of several dozen anti-aircraft batteries helps to mitigate that issue a bit. By destroying certain buildings, we can force some repair kits to spawn, and going over those will of course repair the ship. They're a little few and far between, but they weren't too bad. I never really found myself desperately needing a repair kit except for one bit there at the end, but we'll get to that later. The other thing here is upgrades. Using the DNA we've collected, we can upgrade Crypto's guns, ship, and psychokinesis. The gun and ship upgrades aren't really worth talking about. They mostly just give you more ammo or a bit more damage, with the exception of the disintegration gun, which does turn into a double shot. The rest I didn't really touch on too much myself because they weren't really necessary. The real meat here is the psychokinesis upgrades. The more you upgrade this power, the bigger and heavier the objects you can lift. Want to pick up that tank and chuck it into the next area code? Well, now you can. Psychokinesis is the real meta of destroy all humans, and 70% of all confrontations can be resolved by simply picking up the problem and sending it into the stratosphere with your mind. If you're feeling particularly sadistic, dragging a person along the pavement also tends to make them feel less than stellar in the morning. Anyway, Crypto hijacks the radio to spread the message of communism being at fault and definitely not the aliens. And now we can finally go to Area 42. Oh yeah, the military also has giant robots now, so that's fun. I guess it's a failure of the American public education system that I didn't know about the giant robots of the 50s before this game. Breaking into a fully staffed military base is easier than you'd think when you can perfectly mimic the likeliness of anyone around you, and Crypto learns what we as the audience have always known. Crypto 136 is long dead. A moment of silence please before we violently destroy the evidence and escape. Up next, we learn that Majestic has managed to unlock the latent Furon DNA of humans to give certain people telekinetic powers. This sounds like it should be a huge problem, but well...
They got mutants.
Destroy the lab!
It's not. These guys can be a nuisance every now and then, mainly just because they can force you to not do damage to them for a period of a couple seconds, but for the most part they're easy to manage. They can still be picked up and they can still be thrown. They have a bit higher of a health pool than a normal grunt, but it's nothing unmanageable. Just keep in mind that anytime you see a bald man, you may have to focus him for an extra couple of seconds to get him down first. This general here is kind of annoying, so we decide the best way to handle this situation is by destroying the entire military base with a tactical nuke. We escort it through the area, throw some cows around to get it out of the way, and only get caught once or twice. Once it's there, we defend it from all of the Einstein clones and move approximately 55 feet to escape the blast radius. Unfortunately, General Armquist also escaped the blast radius and lives to fight another day. And by that, I mean he gets reamed out by the leader of Majestic, Silhouette, so maybe he would have been better off dead. While out for a joyride, Crypto gets shot down and captured, for all of about 30 seconds until he wakes up and immediately escapes, gets his weapons back, and fixes the ship. He then continues on his way to not Washington, D.C. in pursuit of Armquist. Capital City is heavily defended, except for this big open pathway to the White House doors, where we learn that Armquist is at the Octagon because 8 is a bigger number than 5. We follow Armquist to a meeting of military leaders and make him look like a big dumb idiot in front of all of his friends.
I don't suppose you managed to catch this so-called assassin general, or are we just supposed to take all this on faith?
Why is it that we hate this guy so much again? Whatever, I guess it doesn't really matter. He's in a big dumb robot now, so let's go fight him. There's nothing particularly special about the Armquist boss. He's a big guy and causes a lot of screen shake. All that we really need to do is shoot him a bunch of times, not get hit too many times in return, hide behind a wall to make sure we don't get bum rushed by all of his goons, and the big bad general goes down after a sick burn from Crypto.
We could have worked together, you and I, to forge a new future, a common future of peace and prosperity for our two peoples. You didn't want to destroy us? Of course not. Psych.
So, Armquist is dead, what's next? Oh right, world domination. Cool, so with that in mind, what's our next mission? Oh no. Alright, so we're off to send the president on an extended vacation and get ambushed along the way. This kills any plan of doing things sneakily, so we resort to blasting our way back to the saucer. Along the way, we stop for just a moment to, help out the president towards his golfing trip, and then we're off. Next task, stop the senators from electing a new president.
Doesn't the vice president become president?
Yeah, at this point, I've kind of just stopped questioning it. I'm more focused on throwing people around and reducing them to piles of ash. In the span of about a business week, we've managed to completely decimate the American government, and Majestic is none too happy about that. In one final gambit to beat us back, they throw out their trump card, the president's brain encased in a 50-foot tall death robot that we now have to fight. And its name? RoboPrez. Oh, and Silhouette is a woman, which, yeah, would have been a big deal in the 50s. Anyway, RoboPrez goes down, and now we get to fight Silhouette. Again, nothing special here, just shoot her a bunch and she eventually dies. These boss fights are again nothing spectacular, but RoboPrez is at least a spectacle. We fight him in the UFO, and the things in the area do a bit of damage. Fortunately, running around, he does go buy some health pickups and some ammo crates, so it's nothing too crazy, and we do eventually take him down. Silhouette is a bit more dull, but at least it's on the ground and we get to fight her man to man. My main issue here is I don't know if I'm just stupid or if the game just has a built-in mechanic for this, but she does regain some health and I couldn't figure out how to stop it. I think eventually she just kind of stops doing it as her health gets lower and lower, allowing us to take her down. Our post-credit scene reveals that Crypto has taken the place of the president to lead the American populace in a new age of brainstem harvesting and apparently gender equality.
If you're not too scared to fight a girl.
Nah, I'm not hung up on the whole pudenda thing.
Alright, so that was Destroy All Humans. What did you think? In my opinion, this is the perfect kind of game to sit down and turn off your brain for. From start to finish, this took me 7 hours to beat in a single sitting, and I loved every second of it. The humor is just campy enough to be entertaining without veering into cringy, and the ridiculousness of the plot is so perfect I just can't hate it. If you've never played this game, please do. I know it got a remaster in 2020, but I never played that, so I can't in good conscience recommend it, so I have to default to the original. If you don't mind some jank and understand even 1 out of every 6 dated political jokes, this is genuinely a stupidly fun good time. Alright, well, that was a quick one, but a fun one. Sly Cooper 3 is up next in our list, and I may come back for these sequels at some point, but not right away, so keep an eye out for what I've got baking. As always, let me know how you felt down in the comments below, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you're feeling extra spicy today. I'll see everyone next time.